welcome to another edition of On the Road Gospelize with Greg Stier. We got Jason Roy, lead singer, founder of Building 429, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, man. Good to hang with you.
We're on the road at Winter Jam, and it's been a blast.
Yeah, man. I've really enjoyed being out here. You know, and also it's the first time I've ever hung out with you, to be honest, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen you at youth specialties, different things like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think we've ever
First time we've actually,
Yeah.
and then we connected on the odd upbringing of sorts that we've both kind of had.
That's right. We started comparing notes.
Yeah.
That's cool. Instant connection. Dysfunction unites.
That's right.
That's right. So, man, you've had a pretty crazy journey, but you were kind of called out and called up by youth ministry, right? Tell us a little bit about that story.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of grew up in a strong Southern Baptist family up until I was about 5 years old, and then I think we've talked about this. My dad was a pro powerlifter, and at 5, apparently things weren't working out between mom and dad, and so mom and dad got divorced, and then and he kind of went off the deep end and kind of went into a lifestyle that was terrible of sorts, just bad lifestyle, and my mom got remarried, and we started bouncing all over the country. So we lived in California, lived in North Carolina, and bounced all over the place. I had a deep longing for Dad, so at 15 we had this huge court battle, and I got to stand in front of my mom and tell her I didn't want to live with her anymore, and
wow,
broke her heart. It was awful, and then I moved back to my hometown of Texas to live with my father, and the day one that I was at home, I knew things weren't what I thought they were.
Yeah.
But I had a youth pastor there. Once I could drive my car, I would get my sisters up in Texas, and I'd take them to church on Sunday mornings. And I had a youth pastor who believed in me, and he started taking me to Christian concerts because he knew that I was an athlete, but as a secret, he knew that I was writing songs.
Wow.
And he would put me on the piano and make me sing songs and stuff in that youth program. And eventually, he took me to see Third Day. And at the Third Day show, he pointed out and told me he thought I could do that.
Wow.
And then he took me and bought me my first electric guitar.
Wow.
When my parents couldn't afford it. And that was the spark that just gave me something to do, a focus for my life. And it's funny, the songs that I wrote about the heartache and the hurting and all that stuff that I was feeling, those were the songs that connected with people and actually eventually connected to my father through the radio and led him back to Jesus. So craziest thing.
I met your father the other day, and I told him, first thing is, if things go bad when I'm preaching, I want you running security. And he was like, yeah, I'll do it, man.
He's a big man.
He reminds me, we really do have similar backgrounds.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, you have a lot of bodybuilders in my background.
Right.
And what happened to us? I mean,
I know
we could take care of ourselves in a situation, but not like we couldn't take care of the situation. Right.
I think that I realized early that there was no way I was going to keep up with that, so I just focused on other things.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool. Well, you started Building 429 how long ago?
The first recordings we ever did were in 1999.
Okay.
So
all right.
This is 21 years.
Wow. 21 years.
Right.
Man,
crazy.
When you think about it, that's like a legacy, man. That's.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to have done it as long as we have and watch everything change around us and have to reinvent and all that kind of stuff. But it's really cool. And you're right. I think that if we were to walk away today, I think we would high five and say, "Job well done."
So, but before we go too far into just the story of Building 429 and just some crazy recent things that have happened that is just, I think, a miracle. I just want to stop and just to the youth leader out there that is grinding. Maybe you feel like you got broken kids from broken families in your group, and you're like, where's all these leadership kids I dreamt about to really help me do this? Yeah. Really, you were a kid, I don't know if you were a broken teen, but you're from a broken family, and this youth leader saw something. You encourage the youth leaders that what they do, matters. I mean, it's making a difference.
Well, that's the lie that we all hear, right? We all hear the lie that what we're doing doesn't matter, and it doesn't. But the truth be told, my youth leader owned a transmission shop and didn't get paid to be a youth leader at all.
Yeah.
But he poured his entire life out on that. that youth program, and I promise you, like, I think it's so interesting. I saw a stat the other day, and this is not me bragging on myself. It's just a fact that Building 429 has had 100 million streams worldwide.
Wow.
In the last 10 years, right?
And the spiritual reward that you're going to get in heaven, that youth pastor is going to get a slice of that.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
You just said it.
Yeah.
He was investing in one troubled kid with a troubled past.
Yeah.
And
it's like the guy that led D.L. Moody to Christ. He sold shoes.
That's what I'm saying. That, and I'm sure he's a flawed person. He's, Paul is his name. He's not a saint. He's a man doing the best that he possibly can to love the Lord and love other people the way that Jesus did. But think about the difference that he made. And, tonight we'll go out and we'll play all these songs, but not one of them would exist without him pouring his life out. And so I say to the youth pastor out there, you just don't know what impact you're having. It's hard to see it today, but I just want to encourage you. Like, you may be the only voice that kid hears of love and of grace and of mercy in their life. I heard a lot of harsh words everywhere else, but from that man I heard that he believed in me, and then that God had a plan.
So the guy that really reached my whole family for Christ, Yankee, spoke with a southern accent. His name's Yankee. I remember him walking down the hallway. We saw each other. I was 12 years old. I'm walking the other way. He's got his old Schofield, King James, reference Bible. And he looks at me and he goes, "You're going to reach the world for Christ someday, young fella." And I knew he said it 1,000 times to 1,000 kids, but he meant it. And he empowered us. He trained me to, I can't sing, so I preach.
Right.
But those who could sing, put up on stage. Really, I think there's a longing in every kid's heart for three things: a king, a cause, and a crew. King Jesus, a cause to live for and die for, and some homies, a squad
I agree
that
with
we
that.
can do this with. And that's what you found in this youth, with this youth leader, this youth group, and music.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I think that, one of I always say that all the things that went wrong were really just the testimony in the making, right? All the things that I look back at, and in the moment, I would have loved for my mom and dad to stay together when I was a kid, right? But the truth be known, God brought this amazingly godly guy into our life as my stepfather, and the longing for my father was actually the jet fuel for me to chase Jesus down.
Ooh, dude. I don't know if that's a lyric in a song yet.
No, it's not.
But it should be.
Yeah.
A longing for my father was a jet fuel to get me to Jesus.
To point me to Jesus.
Oh,
it was because I needed that father figure, and I really do believe like for me, I didn't mean that I wasn't like teenagers get into trouble. That's what they do, right? Yeah. But for me, for some reason, it just pushed me deeply towards God. I need you. Yeah. God, where are you, God? Yeah. And it sent me on a journey, and I wouldn't change it, because I think if everything had worked out differently, I'd probably still be living in the same small town. There's nothing wrong with that, but I'd probably still be there, and this whole ministry that I've been a part of for 20 years and been around the world with wouldn't have existed. So, man, it was, you say it like this, it's funny, it's a song title, but a blessing I couldn't see yet, right?
I love that. So youth leaders, I just hope you're encouraged by hearing this. It's just really, really cool. You are making a difference, and you talk about it. What is it? A setback being
setback is the setup.
Setup.
Yeah.
And it's a great hook, but boy, there's a story behind that I've heard you tell youth leaders at Winter Jam. Why don't you share that story?
Yeah. Well, you would think that as long as I've been following Jesus, I would know that that the setback is a setup, right?
Yeah.
But 2018, after 18 years of ministry and on the road, I got home from a long year of touring and got a call from my manager, and they told me that our record label had let us go. They had, basically they had fired us, right? And instantly, fear and panic and all those things come in, and then anger and don't they know how many records we've sold, and how many, all this stuff. And but earlier that year, I had this chance meeting with this lady at my church who just spoke into me. She said, I believe God's about to do something different in your life, and I want to invest in you when that happens. And I honestly didn't understand what that meant. I just kind of, okay, cute, great, thanks, whatever that means. Thank you, ma'am. You know. So anyway, we get let go from our record label, and then I had a coffee meeting with this lady 3 days later, and I walked in, and she basically just went to town on me. She's like, "Hey, how are you doing?" I said, "I'm not doing well." She said, "Why not?" I said, "My record label just let us go." She said, "Well, why would they do that?" And I said, "Well, because they said I'm too old. They said that my ministry they think is coming to a close, and it's time for them to work with younger people." And she said to me in that moment, she said, "Well, let's just call it a blessing we couldn't see yet, because anybody that speaks that kind of words over your ministry has no place in your life in the first place, right?" And then she said, "Now, what would you like to do with the freedom that you have, that you've never had before?" And I had never thought of it as freedom. I thought of it as immediately like as, "Oh no, I'm in trouble here."
Yeah.
But she saw it as freedom, and I said, "I've always wanted pipe dream. I've always wanted to start my own record label." And she said, "Oh, it's a great idea. Well, how much would that cost?" And I just kind of stumbled towards a ridiculous number and threw that on the table. And then this sweet lady just kind of smiled and said, "Well, I'd be more than happy to cover that." And she said, I want you to invest in the next generation."
What's her phone number again?
Yeah, right. I know, like donors.
Hey.
But she also said to me, she said, "There's only one rule." And I said, "Well, what's that?" She said, "Fear no more."
Yeah.
Right. And so with that, I had to go write that song, and we own our own record label now. One of the things that was so hard was that we were told that radio stations around the country didn't want to hear my voice, my specific voice anymore. And we went and wrote a song. I went and wrote a song called "Fear No More," and sent it to radio stations, and wouldn't you know it, every radio station in America played it. But the thing that I always say is, it wouldn't be a miracle if we hadn't been dropped by our record label first. Right?
Yep.
So the setback was the setup, and here I am now, completely in the place where I have freedom to record the music I want, when I want, how I want, and I would have never had that if I'd been still signed to that huge, all-important, all-encompassing deal at Sony.
Yeah. I have an old drama buddy that was quoting some guru of writing scripts, and he said every great script has three components. It's yes, no, but wait.
Oh.
The turn.
Right.
And we're on our road, we hit that wall.
Right.
But wait, there's a twist.
Something else is coming.
The setup, for what God's going to do.
And they call it the dark night of the soul, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Is.
That's right.
That's the moment.
Well, thank you for your ministry to so many. Thanks for your heart. I watch you minister to these youth leaders. I've kind of called you kind of a shepherd singer, because you really shepherd the audience. You do the collection. Dude, you do the collection for Winter Jam, for the offering, in a very heart-moving way.
Thank you, man.
And I think very theologically strong and non-manipulative way, but just purely, man, inspiring people to be generous to a ministry that's been generous to so many people and so gospel-centered and so gospel-focused. So,
well, it's easy to do that when you can see, 20, 25 years of them being generous themselves.
And you see off the stage.
We see it back here, right?
Yeah,
we know what's really going on.
We all have the same, dressing room with, I have the same dressing room with new songs.
Right, so you know who they are.
Get to know these guys.
They're great, yeah.
Real guys, and love the gospel, and that's what I love about you. And so just really encourage, everybody, just get the stuff. Where do they go? What would be the best way for?
Yeah, well, it's just honestly, you can just go to building429.com. And all of our Instagrams, building429 official and all that stuff. But what's cool now is all the music that is being released, that has been released since the winter of 2019, is all ours. And so, for the first time in our career, like, there's an actual reward to releasing music.
Yep.
And I don't ever get to tell this part of the story. I'll share this.
Tell me.
The story's not over. I don't know how long this record label is going to go. I don't know if tomorrow it is suddenly going to stop working. Yeah. Right. But I do get a peek into an insight into how God works, and I absolutely know that whatever comes tomorrow, I don't have to be afraid.
Yeah.
Right? I don't have to be afraid of the outcome because God just constantly shows up. It's funny, like the scriptures tell us, like, look at the birds of the air. Like, what are they worried about, right? And I think that I forget that, and I read it, and I'm just kind of like, okay, whatever. But truly, like, at the end of this run, whatever it is, God's always going to have me in the palm of His hand, and I trust that.
Amen. Jason, thanks so much for what you do, and just check out their stuff, building429.com.
There it is, man.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, bro.